On a sunny day in late January, a pair of foxes come together in a country churchyard. The vixen is fertile for only 1 or 2 days a year. During this period, the foxes become quite oblivious to their surroundings and to any danger. Even after copulation, the wails and shrieks continue as the animals stay locked together. For the rabbits, courtship is a very different affair. No need for the buck to wait until the doe is in season. The act of copulation itself will make her fertile, and she may go on to produce a litter of young every 30 days during spring and summer. During her pregnancy, the vixen must eat often. A successful rabbit hunt now is vital. But here's the essential problem for the fox. How does it get close enough to a rabbit for the final rush, given the rabbit's vigilance? With eyes on the side of their heads, rabbits can virtually see backwards, and large ears give them phenomenal hearing. Usually, for the fox to make a kill, it's down to experience and opportunism. But any success will probably have been preceded by dozens of failed attempts. This time, the fox adopts a strategy seldom observed before: ambush. The rabbits, however, have a very efficient acoustic early warning system. The sound of thumping will send them to ground and safety. And there they will stay, as long as the fox's presence above is signalled by continued thumping. But in the gloom of the hedge, the hunter is patient. Sooner or later, her presence will go unsignalled. Spring. And below ground, the vixen has given birth to a litter of 3 cubs. Deaf and blind, the cubs need more than mother's milk to survive. They need her body heat. These are all the young she will have this year. There will be no second litter. Her investment in these 3 bundles of black fur is considerable. And so she becomes a devoted mother, never leaving cubs at all for the first 2 weeks of their lives. During this time, she is totally dependent on the dog fox to bring back food. She licks their bottoms to stimulate them to defecate. If she did not, they would probably die. Some distance away from the main rabbit warren, a doe has been digging a new burrow, a nest stop for her kittens. Like the fox cubs, they're born deaf, blind and helpless. But their mother looks after them very differently. She has lined the burrow with grass and with her own belly fur to keep them warm. Then she leaves them. Yes, leaves them completely on their own, covering up the entrance to the stop on her way out. The object is to leave as few signs, as little smell as possible of the mother rabbit's presence. But this time, the dog fox has caught a hint of the kits below. The death of one animal's young will sustain the life of another's. But the rabbit can have many more young this year. The fox cannot. For most of the litters in the outlying nest stops, the rabbit's maternal strategy works. For just a few minutes, once a night, the other does return to suckle their kits, first digging out the entrance to their burrow. The difference in maternal care between fox and rabbit seems extreme. But the harsh fact is that the mother rabbit can produce more young very quickly. She is, in a sense, a breeding machine. Now her cubs are 3 to 4 weeks old, the vixen will leave them, but only for short periods. She returns to a boisterous, always hungry litter of troublemakers. Their fine fur needs constant grooming. Many fox families have other adults to share the parental duties. But here, the one vixen has to provide milk, warmth and security, and the dog fox has to do most of the hunting. All around the colony, the baby rabbits are soon bubbling up above ground. They leave their nest burrows and join the main warren and the other rabbits. Already they can feed themselves, but at this age they are at their most vulnerable. They can't run fast, and they have yet to learn the skills of getting up on their hind legs, of watching and listening and judging when to go to ground. The patrolling dog fox is looking thinner. Not surprising. He's not just hunting for one, he's doing the bulk of the hunting for 5. When chased, the young rabbits, he knows, will take just that little bit longer to get to their burrows. It may be all he needs. The dog fox may eat the smaller prey he catches, but he chooses to carry the dead rabbit back. It's a long distance and not an inconsiderable effort for him. He drops the rabbit outside the earth, and hearing him, the vixen goes out and carries it in. Now 6 weeks old, the cubs are decidedly growing up. Their coats have changed from black to brown, their new teeth are sharp, and competition for food can lead to serious aggression between them. Already there is an order of seniority among the 3 cubs. The dominant cub gets the food first and the others wait. In larger litters, this will often lead to the weakest of the cubs dying or even being killed and eaten by the others. As summer comes apace, the hunting is getting harder and harder for the dog fox. The rabbits are wise. They gauge their opponent's strength, speed and experience, and they know their own distance away from safety and danger. Watch, calculate and decide. Then you can't be taken by surprise, like this rabbit. The classic technique of the stalk, as proficient as any cheetah. One shake and it's dead. Wise indeed are the rabbits that kept watch. In June, the cubs are regularly leaving their hot, smelly earth and coming above ground. They're rapidly reaching the stage when the vixen will have trouble controlling them. But her investment in these cubs is so total, she continues to feed and protect them to the exclusion of all else. But it will not always be thus. The foreign fox, skulking in the hedge, is one of her last year's cubs. The vixen stays alert. The cubs are unaware of their elder sibling. Finally, she goes on the offensive. Blood ties forgotten. Protecting this year's brood is the imperative. The young rabbits, now bigger, stronger and faster, eat their fill, watching the while. But the foxes are having to work harder and harder to fill their stomachs. For some time now, the vixen has been sharing the hunting duties. She hopes to hide in the long grass, but standing on their hind legs every few minutes to get a better view, the rabbits see her. The latest of her many attempts today ends, like the others, in failure. The rabbits, however, can't afford to relax their vigilance even for a minute. Danger is everywhere. A buzzard. The start of August, and the vixen has another problem, or rather 3 of them. True to form, the cubs are all bounce and play. She's weary of them. And now, when she tries to hunt, they want to join in too. The only trouble is, they spoil the slightest chance she may have of staying undetected by the rabbits. The vixen is forced to resort to the most basic, the most difficult of all hunting strategies, a straight chase, relying totally on her speed and maneuverability. With so many rabbits and so few foxes, who would have believed that so often the fox would turn out to be the loser? And any fox killed by man is one less predator to control the current huge expansion of the rabbit population post-myxomatosis. Were all farmers to realize this, some might be less quick to take a shotgun to the rural fox. Autumn, a time of plenty for rabbits. But life is a lot harder for our 3 fox cubs. Less and less free food now from their parents. They're poor hunters in general and totally incompetent when it comes to hunting rabbits. The cubs survive on bits and pieces, earthworms, leather jackets, even blackberries. Foxes are, after all, omnivores, not purely hunters. 2 cubs have already taken to wandering off by themselves. Soon they'll be embarking on the long search for their own home ranges elsewhere. Other foxes they encounter will drive them away. As autumn ends, the one remaining cub is finally driven away by its own mother. It's a harsh fact that 50% of all the fox cubs dispersing through the fields and woods of Britain as winter approaches will die, falling victim to man, to dogs, and to starvation. Despite the attentions of the fox, rabbit numbers are on the increase. It seems the year has ended with the rabbit having, metaphorically, the last laugh.
A monkey for all seasons, the Japanese macaque, in Wildlife on One next Thursday at 8 o'clock.